For a great cup of joe, there's one thing you should know. Your morning brew can also be playful. Buff Boy Brewing guys make the temperature rise, and you surely feel naughty when you swallow our coffee. If you want some real heat, give your mouth a fine treat. You will want some more, rest assured. Buff Boy Brewing, you can't get enough of.
It's time for The Scribble, your weekly fix of celebrity chats, bizarre stories in the news, and basic random chatter with best-selling author and syndicated radio host Jeremy Bradley. Make sure your seat is in the upright and locked position and your barf bag is securely in place. Here's Jeremy Bradley.
Thank you very much, Larson. Jeremy Bradley here. This is indeed The Scribble. Thanks for tuning in at thescribbleshow.com and on SoundCloud and iTunes. And yes, we are even on Twitter at The Scribble Show. There we go, get all the plugs out of the way. Coming up, the Kentucky HeadHunters have been making country music for many, many years, actually a few decades now, and they were just granted an honor by Billboard actually several months ago. And so we've got one of the group members on the show to talk about that, because it's always fascinating to me to hear from these groups who have been around a long time, because there's so many one-hit wonders these days. You know, thanks to the internet, anybody can post anything on YouTube and then have overnight success, is what it seems like. And I'm not even talking about Justin Bieber, but anyway. So, I definitely love hearing from the veterans, if you want to call them that, and hear what they think about the music industry, the internet even in general. So we are going to be talking about that coming up in just a little bit. And really, the state of the music industry, here's the deal. When we started doing our syndicated radio show called Top of the Charts, about 10 and a half years ago now, I enjoyed music back then. I really did like the music that was on the radio. It was just on the fringe of like the computerized schlock, I call it now. That's how old I am, everybody. I call it schlock. I'm now my dad, officially. But now, even though the show is still called Top of the Charts, we are playing music from a few years ago just because it's really hard to appreciate the stuff that's on the air now. And yes, there are times I do like the odd song here and there when it comes out, but yeah, I can't get into it. It's too much. And then I also feel that I'm going to get shot when I'm listening to some of the music just because it just sounds so dangerous and like gangster or gangsta. That's how white I am, everybody. But honestly, I don't care for music these days. And really, the business, when you think about it, it's let's just put out a catchy song that's going to make us a lot of money, and that's it. There's really very little love of the music. You know, when American Idol and all these reality shows at first started, yes, I do believe people had a little bit more of a genuine appreciation and love of music then, and maybe they still do. You will see the odd contestant that does feel that way, but it's the fame and the money that people are wanting, and I don't know if that's necessarily the right reason to do it. You know, when I started writing books, it wasn't about becoming rich, famous, best-selling author or anything like that. It was just, you know what, I wanted to just pour out my heart in the first book that I wrote and get it out there, and to say, you know what, I published a book. And I did it, and I've done it a few more times since then. But even if one book sells 10 copies, well, the fact that 10 people were interested in reading what I had to write, hey, that was good enough for me. It was never, and I do have a best-selling book, 2 of them, but who's counting? And it's funny, too, because I do get asked that a lot. Well, how many copies have you sold? Well, how many? I honestly don't know, but it's not about that. I wrote it because I love writing, and that's why I did it. No different if I won the lottery and people will ask me, everybody always says that you're going to quit your job, I'm never going to work again. I would still be writing. I would still probably host 1 or 2 radio shows every now and then because I enjoy what I do. Tell me your thoughts. I would love to hear what you think about that. Chime in. Send me an email, live@jbonair.com, live@jbonair.com, or tweet us up at The Scribble Show, again on Twitter, at The Scribble Show, talking with the Kentucky HeadHunters right after this.
Isn't it crazy that you wait for payday, but before you know it, you're strapped for cash again? It's time to stop blowing your money and become a smart spender with the book, The Official Guide to Being an American Cheapskate, at cheapskatebook.com. Learn simple ways to cut costs at home every day and during special times of the year. Don't go broke at Christmas. Don't remortgage the house for a fancy vacation. The book is filled with tips to save you money throughout the year. Check out the best-selling book, The Official Guide to Being an American Cheapskate, at cheapskatebook.com or on Amazon and iTunes.
Ever had something to get off your chest but never had the balls to say it? That's a load of crap. SpeakFreeWithJB.com is exactly what you've been waiting for. Your chance to tell it like it is and not care what anybody else thinks. Have your say on issues of the day. Join newspaper and radio columnist Jeremy Bradley as he tells it like it is. Hundreds of thousands of people have stopped by, including some well-known celebrities who have had a chat with JB and speak candidly about what's really going on in the world. You can join them too. Have a rant or a rave. Be brave and head on over to www.speakfreewithjb.com now.
With so many award shows and trophies handed out, you always wonder if they mean anything to an artist. But when Billboard names one of your albums on the greatest of all-time country albums list, you know it means something. And the Kentucky HeadHunters got that designation. We've got Doug Phelps from the group on the line. Hey, Doug.
Hey, Jeremy. How you doing?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Man, doing great.
Good. Well, I would imagine. Congratulations on the honor. That's pretty huge.
Well, thank you, man. It was a surprise to us when someone actually forwarded the piece that was posted, and I think Greg said it best when he kind of responded to it and said, honored and humbled to be included in that top 100 list. It was a pleasant surprise, to say the least.
I guess it always kind of makes you wonder when people get, like a lifetime achievement or that sort of a milestone recognition. It's kind of like, well, we're not done yet. We're still going. We're still going, right?
That's right. We're not done yet. That's for sure. In fact, this year has been a very busy year for us. But a recognition like that is certainly an honor. And but it, I guess it provides a little bit of extra inspiration for us to keep on keeping on. We've been busy touring, and in between that, we actually have recorded a new record that'll be out in November. And we did a first. It's never too late to do something, to have a first experience in your life. Even at our age, we toured overseas for the first time ever in our 30-year career. So that was exciting for us as well.
Well, let's cover all of those things then. We'll talk about the new album in just a bit. But you just finished. It was over in the UK, right? The tour.
Well, yes, we did about a month and a half ago. Our first ever trip across the ocean was to Sweden. We played a huge rock festival over there called Sweden Rock, and had a great time. Didn't know what to expect, but the people were great, very gracious to us, and got in there and had a great time with us. It was a wonderful experience for us. And about 2 or 3 weeks after that, we made a trip overseas to the UK. And, we started out with 3 shows out of 4 days up in Canada. Hopped on a plane, middle part of Canada, flew to Toronto, hopped on another plane, flew to London, and started an 8-day tour over there, 8 shows in a row. And which is pretty, it's hard on us old farts. Let's just put it that way. But you know what? The crowds were wonderful, great response to our music, and we've had opportunities to go in the past, but our rhythm guitar player and the guy that sings a bit in the band now these days is Richard, and he had a legitimate fear of flying. He hated to fly, and so it never worked out. In '91, Dire Straits wanted us to open up stadium dates for them. We would have been over, I think, 3 or 4 different weekends, and the Gulf War broke out, and the tour got postponed and everything. Richard was going to take a boat over, and we were going to fly over, so we had it worked out, but unfortunately we didn't get to go at that time. And when the tour it was time to do it again, we already had too many dates booked and couldn't get out of it. So missed that opportunity. Other few opportunities come along, but the main driving force, I think, that finally got Richard to say, you know what, it's time to do this, is his son's band, Blackstone Cherry, is huge overseas. They've done so well over there, and they get asked a lot of questions about the Headhunters, and we both came through the old practice house on the farm, two Kentucky bands out of the same spot, basically, out there in Kentucky. So they kind of got tired of saying, yeah, we want to get them over. We're going to get them over. And they cornered Richard last fall and said, all right, the jig is up. It's put up or shut up. It's time to make a commitment to get over there because there's a lot of interest, and they just thought that it would be good for our career as well. So he finally bit the bullet, so to speak, and figured out how he was going to make this happen, and he did great. He did great on all the flights over, and like I said, it was a great experience, and the crowds were wonderful to us, and so we'll be back over for sure.
You almost could have just said, you know what, we'll get you a canoe and we'll meet you there.
Well, I kept telling him, of course, everybody said, well, the Mr. T thing, just, knock him out and go. But I kept telling him, I said, I'll sit by you, and every time you wake up, I'll just knock you in the head. You won't even know you're on a plane. But, man, it was a determination factor that wanting to see, John Fred and Chris and Ben and John, the bass player, wanting to see, the hard work they put in and the success they've had overseas, not thinking that he might not ever get to see that firsthand. So I know that that was the driving force as well. And one of the shows that we played over there, another huge festival called Ramblin' Man Festival, they headlined the particular night that we played. We played early in the afternoon, of course, and but they came out and hung out on stage with us and then brought us out on their set, and that was just their way of kind of introducing us to their audience as well. And just had a great time. The whole thing was a great experience, and so he's figured out that he can do it, and sky's the limit now. We'll definitely be back over.
Well, next is the world tour now then, right?
Yes, we can actually attach that to the Kentucky HeadHunters World Tour. World Travelers.
There you go. So I've got to ask that I've heard audiences in different parts of the world react differently to music. Like, have you found that now then, that you've expanded your horizons?
Well, no doubt about it. Our bread and butter's always been here in the States, and we have great fans and loyal fans. We've been doing Headhunters have been together 30 years, and they've hung in there with us, and we continue to make new records. About every 2 years or so, we'll put out a new album, and it might not be top of the charts like it was in the beginning, but we have our following, and we appreciate. I think the older we get, the longer we survive in this business, the greater appreciation we have, for the fans and for what it is that we do. So we certainly love what we do, and it always comes back down to it's about the music first, and all the business stuff. If you do that right, all the business stuff follows, and that's just how we approach it.
Have you seen that the music industry has changed, though? You're talking about it's the love of music that's sort of what keeps you going. Now it's just so commercialized, and it's kind of like, let's just put out a big hit and then hope to make a lot of money on it. I think maybe that's what leads to longevity, though, when you actually do care about the music and you put your heart and soul into it.
Well, I think so. I think that comes across. I know there is, I guess some people would call it maybe disposable music. But, of course, I mean, if a hit's a hit, if people like it and they go out and buy it, then, you can't really I don't have anything negative or bad to say about any of that. That's, if people choose to go out and buy it, then, then it was a success. But what we do is we kind of do the opposite of that. Now, we've had songs that were, I guess, hits, and Picking on Nashville, like the Barnyard, those albums sold a lot of records as well. But it was more of an album process. I guess we're old school in that respect. We made albums and didn't really worry about singles. And but we were fortunate enough that we had some singles that did well. But it's always been about the whole album. And back in the day, when we released Picking on Nashville, if you got 3 singles off an album, you were really doing good. Picking on Nashville, to me, even though it was a full album process, I think every song on that record, could have been a legitimate release as a single. But that's not what labels did at that time. But shortly thereafter, Shania Twain, who was on the same label, who got signed to our same label a year or two after us. They did. They ended up on 7 singles off of that, I think, her second record. And, they kind of realized, hey, if it's legitimate and people are going to dig it, then, just keep on rolling with it. So, and that's one of the reasons why I guess picking on Nashville was included in this top 100 list. It's that it stayed on the Billboard charts, album charts. I think it was number 2 for 48 weeks or something. It just kept hanging in there and kept hanging in there, and people were buying the record, and word of mouth, and CMT was playing the videos, and we did definitely got a lot of airplay out of not only just the singles, but people were playing on deep into the album cuts as well. So it definitely that was a different model, business model back then. The music industry always goes through these hills and valleys, I guess, and it's kind of back to the more single oriented, which was kind of like the 50s, wasn't it? Put out a single, and if it does well, then maybe we'll put out a record. Maybe we'll put out an album.
Right. And I mean, now with technology, yes, listeners do have the chance to pick up one song here and there, and that brings us to the whole internet and technology age. And I always love asking, an artist or a group that's had decades of success in the music industry, obviously it's changed over the years. Do you find the internet threatening, from your own personal experience or opinion? What do you think about how social media and the internet has changed the music industry?
Well, I think that it has provided certainly more opportunities. More doors can be opened via the technology. You don't have to have a record deal to get exposure, and that's been proven time and time again. Of course, that exposure usually does lead to a major record deal, but
right.
There's YouTube videos out there that's got millions of views, and no record deal yet, but I'm sure it's coming. But then, the other side of it, I guess, from the artist's perspective is, how does it get paid? The whole pay process is different than it used to be, and we love sharing music as well, but I guess it's kind of some positives and maybe some negatives too. It's sort of both. It's not just one or the other. But I think overall, it's really, I think it's a good thing. I really think it's provided more opportunities.
What piece of advice would you give? Maybe somebody who's just starting out in music now and wants to make a name for themselves, or even just have decades of success. What would you suggest? What steps should they take?
Well, it really comes down to, I know this is not necessarily specific business advice, but it comes down to having a passion and a love for what you're doing. Having love for music and having an appreciation for the music that came before you and those artists that poured their hearts and souls into their music. One of the things we did that helped us a lot in the very beginning was we were into a lot of bands. As we grew up, it was the Beatles and the Stones, Zeppelin, and Creedence and ZZ Top, and just a lot of different bands. That was kind of mainly our main influence. Let's just put it that way. As opposed to us starting the writing that we started when we started writing original material, as opposed to starting there from those influences, we wanted to go back further and dig deeper and find out what made the Beatles. Who did they listen to? Who influenced them and made them who they were? Who influenced Led Zeppelin and made them who they were? So we dug deep, and before we even started writing, and discovered that really a lot of it came from blues, Muddy Waters, Sonny Boy Williamson, Jimmy Reed, Howlin' Wolf, Robert Johnson. Of course, those roots was incorporated into whatever I guess the current music of the day was when those bands formed, and so that we went all the way back and learned a lot of a lot of those early blues songs to make that our foundation before we started. Now we all grew up rural on Richard and Fred are still on their farm in South Central Kentucky. I'm no one not from Kentucky. I grew up in Southeast Missouri, but that's all a part of the Delta region over there, and it's a lot of cotton and soybeans, and it's farmland, and so that's what I did growing up, was work on the farm. So we are country people. There's no doubt about that. You know, we had a rural experience growing up, and so that part of our writing, I think, is probably the biggest connection we have to country music is our stories and what we wrote about the things growing up, that kind of thing. But our music is blues based, and then it's early rock based. It's classic rock. It's southern rock. It's I don't know. It's bluegrass. Our first single was an old Bill Monroe bluegrass song called "Walks Off on His Heart." It did very well for us. That's what kicked it all off in the first place. So it was a combination of all the influences, but going back and getting that foundation first. And so I know I kind of maybe I talked too long about it. And it's easy just to say, find out what you're influenced by, dig deep, and find out what made them who they were musically. And I just think that gives you a firm foundation to start doing what you're going to do.
Absolutely. And so when you have those years of success, you come out with new music. I know you mentioned about a new album. It's coming out in November then, right? Yes.
We actually, these tunes were songs that we had started writing 2 years ago, and we were about to go into the studio when we got the call from, we did the project with Johnny Johnson. Well, the album was released last year called Meet Me in Bluesland. We did a blues project with Johnny Johnson, which was Chuck Berry's original piano player. We recorded that project in 2003. We had him coming in just to play on one song on an album we were recording at that time called Soul, and his wife mentioned the fact that Johnny's health was not very good. He was starting to have some health issues, and so she suggested we keep him up there a couple of days, write some new original songs and record them, and at least we'd have them. And sure enough, about a little over a year later, from those sessions, Johnny did pass away. So we have basically some of the last one of the last projects he probably ever recorded on. But this is 2003. We just set it under the bed and basically was waiting for the right time to put it out. Well, year after year goes by. We finally get a phone call from Frances, his widow, in 2014, and she said, "Hey, I know it's been a while, and I think it's time. Let's do something with that project." And so we were writing the album that we've just finished. That's what we were working on at that time, and so we set that aside and got Johnny in the studio, and 3 days later we had written and produced and recorded the album that came out last year, Meet Me in Bluesland. So this new project, after the Johnny record that we'd worked it, we're still promoting it, obviously, and it has done well overseas as well. But we knew it was time to get in there and get something, get this new material recorded. So looking at a release date, I think I want to say November 4th, if the schedule stays put like it's supposed to. So, but we are definitely looking at a November release date on the new project, and it's sort of a return to our. I think some people will. It's a variety. It's a variety like we always do, but we've got some more, I guess, southern rock type sounding tunes on there as well. People will definitely recognize it. That's for sure.
Well, so I guess all of the information about the album, and then even your upcoming shows and news, it's all on your website then too, right? So people can keep informed there.
Yes, absolutely. We'll be definitely posting more and more information as we get closer, and of course there'll be a lot more promotions going on as well about the new record. So yeah, just people can go to our Facebook page or just KentuckyHeadHunters.com, our website, and see the tour dates and see what's going on with the Headhunters.
Well, we'll be sure to check it out. And again, you know what? Congratulations on the honor. A Billboard recognition like that is huge. So again, congratulations to the group and to you, Doug, as well.
Thank you very much, Jeremy. We certainly appreciate it.
All right, well, thanks so much for joining us. Watch for that new album in November, and KentuckyHeadHunters.com for all the latest on the group. Thanks, Doug.
Thank you, Jeremy.
Who are the Kardashians feuding with now? What did that little thug Justin Bieber do this time? Who's getting hitched? And who's headed for Splitsville? Hear the latest celebrity news and gossip every day on Entertainment Wrap-Up. The good, the bad, the ugly, but mostly the ridiculously hilarious. It's all recapped in this daily segment at entertainmentwrapup.com. Have a laugh at the expense of the rich and famous when they take themselves way too seriously. It's 3 minutes of time-wasting fun at entertainmentwrapup.com. Check out Entertainment Wrap-Up at entertainmentwrapup.com. Brought to you by Speak Free Books.
It's never too early to start thinking about your next holiday. Have you checked out Mexico recently? From tequila tasting, swimming with horses, to ziplining through the jungle and watching whales and dolphins in their natural habitat, Puerto Vallarta has it all. Visit mexico.jbonair.com to see all the fun PV has to offer. That's at mexico.jbonair.com for hundreds of photos, interviews, and videos from around the tourist hotspot. Check out mexico.jbonair.com for all the fun. That's mexico.jbonair.com.
We hear you chirping. Get scribbling. Tweet up the Scribble at The Scribble Show. Join the discussion with Jeremy Bradley. It's all going down right now on Twitter at The Scribble Show and at thescribbleshow.com.
That's right. We are on Twitter at The Scribble Show, at The Scribble Show on Twitter. You know, the holidays are coming. It's fast approaching. It's hard to believe. It seems like summer was just here, but the stores are already seemingly getting ready for Christmas. And so something that is really cool that I've discovered, and there's so many different platforms online to sell different things, you can go to shopernie.com, S-H-O-P, and then E-R-N-I-E.com, because we've got a whole line of greeting cards that we've made for my golden retriever. And they are the most popular breed of dog, as you might know. And everybody, when we talk about my dogs on the radio shows all the time, they're just very photogenic. They love the camera. So definitely check it out, shopernie.com. And if you do have pet pictures, like, you know, I wrote a book about being a cheapskate, and there's also a section on how you can make money online and just different ways to get publicity and to sell stuff. And, you know, again, I used publicity just to promote a book, and it became a bestseller. And I had the media connections, but I wasn't much into social media at that point, I should point out. This was all just natural me generating publicity. So, you know, whether it's pictures of your pet or just even photography that you have, there's some great ideas in the book. It's called The Official Guide to Being an American Cheapskate. You can check it out at cheapskatebook.com, cheapskatebook.com. And, you know, so it's no different than we've created these greeting cards. And over the years, we had somebody order like 60-some cards of my dogs wearing reindeer antlers at Christmas. Like, it was just, I can't believe that. And then you get a royalty. All we have to do, I wake up some mornings, I turn on the phone, and here's emails about, here's your latest book sales, here you've sold greeting cards, here you've done this. You literally are making money in your sleep. And I do know how to use the word literally correctly. I'm not a Kardashian. I'm sleeping for 6-7 hours. People are shopping online and buying books and buying greeting cards. I'm making money as I'm sleeping. It doesn't get any easier than that. It really doesn't. And it's no different, you know, Kentucky HeadHunters. I can never say the name. I even screwed up during the intro. Kentucky HeadHunters. It's not about the music, but in music you can be a one-hit wonder. I'm not saying they are, but you can have a one-hit wonder, you know, Vanilla Ice, whoever it is, and just cash in royally, and again, never have to work a day in your life because you had that one hit. Carly Rae Jepsen with Call Me Maybe. She's had a little bit of success from that, but that one song, millions of dollars, you're set. And then people make fun of one-hit wonders, but at the same time, it's like, I made over $1 million on one song. One-hit wonder? I'll take it. So anyway, so go to shopernie.com. You can check that out. And the book as well is at cheapskatebook.com. We've got the latest celebrity news and gossip every day on our show, Entertainment Wrap-Up. While I'm spewing out links for you to check out, go to entertainmentwrapup.com and check that out. And we also have our celebrity interviews from this show and from the radio shows as well. That is online at speakfreecelebwatch.com. Speakfreecelebwatch.com. Boy, we are taking over the internet. We've got so many different platforms. We've got books, newspaper columns, radio shows, everything. And greeting cards now. It's awesome. And I definitely encourage you to check out entrepreneurialism if you've got an interest in doing that, because you can really make a lot of money just doing the simplest things. Speaking of simple, my name is Jeremy Bradley. This is The Scribble. Again, thanks so much for tuning in at thescribbleshow.com and on SoundCloud and iTunes. I will talk to you again, same time, same place next week. Hope you have a great day, and I will talk to you then. Bye-bye, everybody.
Want more Scribble? Check out thescribbleshow.com for past shows, celebrity interviews, cheapskate tips, and more. That's at thescribbleshow.com and on Twitter at The Scribble Show. The Scribble is a speak-free media presentation.
If you want some real heat,